Welcome to another episode of Pitstop Fracas. I'm your host, Mahad, and today we'll be reviewing the Baku GP. Firstly, we're going to do a bit of housekeeping. If you haven't followed us, follow us on Twitter at Pitstop Fracas. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube or Pitstop Fracas. Please like and subscribe. One thing that we need to do, 5-star reviews. The math ain't mathing. We've got a certain amount of listeners and the reviews are not matching. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, if you're on Spotify, we need that 5-star review. Some kind words would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you are listening to the pod and you're on your computer or anything like that, you want to interact with us, just use the hashtag PitstopFracas. We're going to try to keep it like we're going to try to increase the engagement with everybody and try to involve everybody. So send us anything that you find funny or anything like that. Just you put the hashtag PitstopFracas, anything F1 related, and we can go through them and we'll let you know on the pod which was the tweet of the week. So that's a new thing that we're going to be doing. But yeah, 5-star reviews with the 8 matching. But today I'm joined by Richard. Richard, how are we doing?
I'm all good, bro. I'm all good. Hayfield's been kicking my ass all weekend, man. So I had to put the Ray-Bans on, you get me? Can't see my puffy eyes and shit. It's all mad.
You were looking like an undercover Fed.
Yeah. No, don't do
moving
that.
He's moving like Jordan in the gambling interview.
I don't know what that means, but I rebuke that still.
Yeah,
okay.
You're into that interview where he's like, where he's talking about how he doesn't have a gambling problem. He's got sunglasses on.
Yeah, I just like to play. You know,
a bit of Betfair and a bit of Betfair.
A bit of Betfair. Did you win anything on F1 today?
No, I didn't put a bet on because I'm not a gambling addict like Drake or Annie. So no, I did not bet.
So is a sign of betting on Charles Leclerc is a sign of being a gambling addict because you've lost your mind by betting on Charles Leclerc?
Yeah. I mean, I've never bet on him before because I don't have faith in him or his organization. So no, I'm definitely not going to bet on him to do anything this season. To be fair, so yeah.
Thank you. We're gonna break it all down. We're gonna break down the reasons why you don't bet on Ferrari. You may have heard his voice already. Tariq, how we doing? Gasly Hive, we're here.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That's why I had to come on, man. Like Gasly Hive, boy, this is like back to the old days right here, man. Yeah, them P5s and P4s, man. We're eating good today. So, I had to come through, push a little prop. And it's all good.
Yeah, Gasly loves Baku, innit? This time last year, he was on the pod. P3.
Yeah, man. I don't know what's in that Azerbaijani water, but it's hitting. So we need a bit more of that.
Yeah, definitely. You know what else is hitting? That Azerbaijani national anthem. That slaps. I was ready for war when I heard that. Azerbaijan? Yo, bro. Slappers.
What's a land of fire of that, yeah?
Land of fire. Yeah, listen. Must have Game of Thrones in that. If you are Azerbaijani, you're listening, we're sorry that we've offended you. Anyway.
No, that's on the this
That's
thing.
love, bro. That's love. That's love.
No, don't you remember Atletico sponsor? You said Azerbaijan, the land of fire.
Land of fire.
Do you remember that?
Okay, cool.
And then when they went back to Europa League, after pop, Land of Fire.
All right, Land of Fire. All right, Kwame. How you doing, brother? Welcome.
I'm tired this week, man. I'm tired of bozos in this, just bozo jeans. I'm really tired of backing it. I'm really tired. I need to vent. I need to vent today. But other than that, I'm not bad. The song's good. Baku, like your man said, it's going on me. It's going on me. The flag's got pink in their flag. They got pink in their flag and green and blue. That's it's a wavy country. But yeah, AlphaTauri, I'm tired of their bozo jean. I'm really tired of their strategies.
But you're the head of AlphaTauri, bro. So
yeah, I know.
Indirectly, you're a bozo.
No, I'm not a bozo. I'm not a bozo. What you think, guys?
Yeah.
Let's say Kwame talks.
No, you're the biggest bozo, man. Like you put your faith in that dumb organization right there, man. Listen, I knew I just need my Gasly stocks and that's it. Like I don't care about UK, I don't care about AlphaTauri. I damn near don't care about AlphaTauri at all. So you're on your own for that one still.
We're gonna call them Gaffer Tape FC today. That's what they're on using gaffer tape to fix their car.
Paper mache thing.
Bro, I've never ever seen someone's DRS break in half. Like one half is fine. The other side is not.
Yeah.
Insane.
School project thing, man.
bro,
Crazy.
DT class and that, bro. What's going on
Oh,
here?
my days, man.
Yeah, so to get started, we're going to talk about qualifying. Once again, Charles Leclerc on pole. It's becoming a bit of a pattern here, Charles Leclerc on pole, and not converting these poles. But Richard, tell me your thoughts about Q3, and do you think Ferrari are approaching this wrong? How they're approaching the season by setting up the car for quality and just trying to get P1 and not focusing on getting a race car sorted out, because clearly Ferrari have an advantage in qualifying.
Basically, yeah, it does kind of look like that because it kind of worked for them in Bahrain and Australia, where they basically got pole and it was basically like stuff like finish for sure. But in other races, it's not really popping that way. And as someone's already mentioned on Twitter, Max has more wins from Charles poles than Charles has wins from his own poles or whatever, which is a crazy like statistic to be honest with you. You know, 27% conversion rate from pole to wins. You know, that's like Bottas levels to be fair in conversion. You know, you're not really converting the thing properly. Do you get me? So yeah, of course, you know, the DNF today wasn't really his fault, but you know, when you're using the same engine from Spain or whatnot, you know, it's not going to really pan out well for you, isn't it? And especially when the customer teams are also conking out as well. You know, K-Mag, Gran Guizhou, and Sainz as well. They all had engine issues also, to be fair. So yeah, it looks like they just think, oh yeah, you know, thingy Charles is a time trial merchant. You know, Gran Turismo hype and all shit like that. You will set it up for quality. You'll do a belter lap, and then we'll just try and consolidate P1 from there. But I don't know how you can do it on a track like Baku when the straight's like four miles long and fucking, you know, you got the Red Bulls there with the straight line speed as well. So this tactic of, oh, we'll just do all the hard work and quality and then the race will just be whatever is not slapping for them. And you know, you can even see from the strategies that you've seen this season, like if it's not the car blowing up, it's Ferrari doing a bad strategy and fucking over the drivers. So it's going to be a very tall order for Ferrari to even to win constructors or to Charles to get this driver championship, because if you look at all of the different factors molded in, and when I'm not even talking about, you know, Charles Bozo gene, I mean, it hasn't been that active this season, but we know it's definitely there. I don't know how he's going to overcome Max and the Red Bulls, to be fair, because all the talk of the start season, you know, it was them Honda engines look dodgy, you know, when in Bahrain you had the free concourse and whatever. Now the announcers are completely flipped on Ferrari, so I don't feel like they're out of the title race as at this moment in time, but at the same time, I don't really see them toppling Red Bull, to be honest, unless, you know, Red Bull have a mad number of DNFs throughout the season and then just Ferrari somehow manage to get themselves over the line. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Charles and Ferrari or not.
Again, to be fair, I think he's showing his quality, Charles, in these quality sessions. Like that lap, the guy pulled out half a second on his second Q3 run, and I'm like, what the hell is that? That's not something that's not normal. That's not normal behavior. And these are like high quality laps. But you think the team that's behind them are not really forward thinking in terms of, okay, how do we approach the race? Because that's where you win. That's where you get points. You know, we're not just here to kind of stat pad pole positions. And even though that's a top 10 quality pole I've seen in a while. That's a serious quality pole that he put in. So he's putting in the hard work for the team, but they're not thinking long term. Okay, how is this going to work out in the race? Because that's cash money. That's where you earn your money. So he's doing his job on his side by putting it on the front row. But the rest of the team, they're not understanding. Okay, how are we going to do this in the long run? How are we going to win the race? How are we going to get through the first stint? How are we going to manage a race and do it strategically where we can win? Because it is possible to win when you do have a slightly slower car. So I feel like they're just on vibes over there in Maranello. Tariq, what's your thoughts about the current gap between Red Bull and Ferrari? Do you think Red Bull are long clear now, or do Ferrari have a chance?
I honestly, I feel like it's just the pace of that car and the performances that Leclerc puts in. You know, regardless of the fact that it's like well established that they always fuck it up on Sunday or whatever. I feel like they're always going to be a problem. They're always going to be up there, and with all due respect, it's kind of something we kind of need to hope that they get their shit together and pose a threat to Red Bull, who I think are in the leading seat right now for the championship. But yeah, I just think we kind of I think they do, and I also hope that they do, because they're the only team and the only car with serious pace, and Leclerc is probably the only driver with serious pace. Not only with that combination, probably across the whole grid. I mean, Mercedes, their car is just not good enough. They definitely have the drivers there to be able to pose a threat if their car was good enough, but their cars are just not good enough. And no other team in the grid is good enough either. So I want them to, and I hope they do. But honestly, like some of the stuff that's happening and some of the facts around Leclerc and his pole conversion rate is absolutely nuts. Honestly, like I genuinely can't believe it. Like, to say that Max gets more wins off your poles than you get wins off your poles is nuts. Like, Max is moving on a Mr. Steal Your Girl kind of thing. Like, he's it's actually
Man took man's chains, yeah. It took man's chains.
Yeah, like, come get your shit back. It's crazy. So
he's moving like Nanja.
Yeah, so it's just like, if it's at that point where it's a running joke and people are well aware of the fact that you always fuck up on Sunday, like, something seriously needs to change at that organization. I mean, they've got the car, and for the most part, they've got the engine to win races. Even though we saw this race that the engine was just a complete shambles, probably because of the temperature or whatever. But yeah, no, for the most part, they have the ability to win races, but they just choke. They're not serious. So it's a bit sad, to be honest, to see a team like that where we could get a serious competition between Ferrari and Red Bull, which a lot of people want to see. I know a couple of people don't want to see that, but that's fine. But yeah, it's Bozo genes. I feel like Bozo gene is going to be like the key word for this entire pod. The fact that just a whole load of teams are just fucking up on their own volition is just, it's ridiculous.
When you made a good point, because when you let me look at the timesheets right now. So Carlos Sainz qualified 4th, and he was about 4 tenths off Charles Leclerc, and they're all around the same times. Max Verstappen, Perez, and Charles Leclerc. They're at least within 3 tenths of each other. Then you go to 5th and 6th. George Russell and Pierre Gasly are 1 second off Sainz. So clearly, the gulf, the difference between the rest of the cars and Red Bull and Ferrari, them other teams ain't catching up. We are in round 8. You are not making up a second, Mercedes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, you are not making up a second in quali laps.
I mean, we're not
making up a second. No one's making up a second.
No, I mean, we're having a discussion about whether Ferrari can challenge Red Bull or whether Red Bull can challenge Ferrari. It's like those are the only 2 teams that have any chance of winning this drivers' championship. The only 2, because there's no other team that is quick enough or fast enough than those 2 teams. So I feel like, even though I know we're just going to keep having this discussion probably till the end of the season about, because we know that Ferrari are going to fuck up even more this season. We know that Red Bull are going to have engine problems even more this season, and they're going to drop points or whatever. And the discussion is just going to continue about, who's challenging what and can this. No, it's like those are the only 2 teams that are challenging, because those are the only 2 sufficiently quick teams to win this championship. That's it.
It's scary hours, man. It's scary hours.
Very scary. Very scary.
Because you would think teams would be on the ball when it comes to a new regulation and snap at the chance of being possibly up there. And it looks like
last season
grabbed it.
Yeah, no, last season you could definitely bet on a couple of these teams, coming through. Definitely McLaren or even, Ferrari. Even we know last season Ferrari were not, were not in the position they were in this season, but they still had the ability to win races. McLaren definitely had the ability to win races. AlphaTauri was very quick if you judge by the pace graphs that we had as well. Like some of those teams would be, up there, but this season is not that. It's Red Bull or Ferrari, barring a catastrophic failure from both of those teams. So yeah, it's a bit sad still.
Yeah. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna speak about a certain Sergio Perez now. He's out qualified Max 2 times in a row now. So in Monaco and now in Baku. Kwame, is this a trend? Because this is not something Checo's known for. He's qualifying prowess. Is the car just suited more to Perez now, or is Max really feeling the pressure under Checo? In qualifying anyway.
Yeah, qualifying. Yeah, I feel like it's a tale of two things. I feel like it's a tale of multiple things. I feel like the car is definitely more tailored toward Perez. I'm hearing like the car, is much more, it's much more trigger happy, in the rear end, which is more tailored towards Checo. Also as well, street circuits, as we said before in the past, that's Checo's bag. This guy is very good at tight street circuits, our corners that pushing towards the edge. But yeah, it's funny because Checo's never been that guy in qualifying. I mean, Lance Stroll got a pole before him when they were at a racing point together, which says a lot because look at Lance Stroll now. That guy is absolutely 2 packs of mid. So the fact now you got Perez who's absolutely packing Max. It's definitely higgy. It definitely does look sus. But at the same time, again with Max, his qualifying has never been his strongest point as well. Like before, I mean, last season, yes, definitely he was good at qualifying, but previously before that, it wasn't his bag. So I feel like the upgrades to this 2022 car is definitely, I feel like, put like a level playing field towards Max and Perez. I felt like as well, to be honest, I feel like there's a bit of pressure as well for Max's side as well. But in the races, Max is blowing Perez out of water, which we'll talk about later. So and the team's geared towards Max. So I don't think it's pressure. I just think it's the car and the one that pace is just suiting Perez more.
Yeah, Max doesn't look happy with this car at all. He doesn't look confident in it. He feels like it's all over the place. He can't dart it. It's understeering. He don't like understeering type of cars as well. And that, I think that's just symbolic of the actual cars themselves, the actual regulations. And it's not really suited his style because in quality, you have to have 100% confidence in the car to maximize it. And you can see the difference how close Perez is going to the wall in his Baku quality compared to like Max. Max is a bit more cautious, and Perez is driving like a maniac.
That's a very good point as well, Mahad, because like I said, like in quality, Perez is always touching the wall, always bracing the wall. Even Leclerc as well, Sainz, when they're getting their fast laps in, always close to the wall, always touching, bracing it. Whilst Max, he wasn't really that close to the wall, really at times. He wasn't really pushing it to the edge like he said. So that's definitely a factor as well.
I think when it comes to that kind of stuff, I think he's quite cautious. When it comes to obviously wheel-to-wheel driving, he's not cautious, but when it comes to trying to go around the crash, he's very conscious about trying to bin it now because of obviously his track record and everything like that. But Sergio Perez is showing his quality. Didn't get a tow, which was surprising, but I think he had fueling issues, and so when he came out, he had nobody in front of him.
Oh yeah, the tow, you're right, yeah, definitely. Because it's funny as well because Perez actually didn't get a tow from Max. But then he was too far behind for Max because, like I said, he had issues with the car. So yeah, they kind of messed up, and he still got a fast lap than Max. So, yeah.
But definitely on race day though, Checo took advantage of that and made up for him finishing P2 in qualifying and actually first corner, great start over Charles Leclerc, went on the inside, took the lead. So. It was a great start for him, and it looked like he was running away with it at first. Richard, talk us through these first stages of the race, and Checo seemingly driving off into the distance.
I mean, both from the start, both Red Bulls got off to a great start off the line. Max's starts were so good that he almost went to the back of Charles, funny enough. But yeah, Checo was obviously on the inside line, so of course that was made a bit easier for him. But it's still a great start from him, and Charlotte to yield. And of course he rode off into the distance, and for a good like 10, 15 laps, something like that. To be fair, and then he comes into the pits, and then he rather precariously has a long pit stop, and then ends up, sorry, having to lose time basically. Yeah. So then, of course, then Max had his pit stop and whatnot, and then Charles, what's his name, does take the lead of the race, and then unfortunately he ends up DNFing. But in terms of this whole, people saying team wars between Checo and Max. I mean, Max was always going to get Checo anyway because Checo just didn't have the race pace in the end. He just didn't have the race. His tires were falling off. He just wasn't finding the pace. And, Max was going to get him in the end anyway. But as I said, it was a good start for Checo, but inevitably, he got, in a way, what he deserved was his second place, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah, this is something that's come up quite a lot because I think people think there's a chance that Perez could probably take it to Max the whole way in this championship, and obviously now he's second in the championship. One thing that's glaring about Perez is sometimes his race pace is nowhere, and that was on display today. It was in display in Imola as well. Like, the guy is nowhere, man, when it comes to, and I don't think people attribute. Oh yeah, Perez is really, really quick. He's rapid during the race. I don't think that's something that's attributed to. I think he's a very good wheel-to-wheel racer. He's good at defending. He's good at managing his tires and stuff like that. But when he was in the lead, then he had to. You could even see it in the first stint, like with Charles Leclerc was behind him. Obviously, he had to drive fast to kind of get out of that DRS zone and stuff like that. But then his tires fell off immediately because he's not used to driving completely on the limit the whole time. And even like on the first couple of laps, you could see him. He was nearly going into the wall, and that kind of compromised his tires. And then he started falling back a bit. And from there, when he switched over to the next tires, obviously he had that slow pit stop, which was very suspect because Jackman was just holding him up. It wasn't like they were putting the gun in or nothing like that. The Jackman was
on
holding
Tinder,
him up like that. I was like, what's
he was on Tinder. It was
like
quick swipe left, swipe right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Have you seen the Azerbaijani babes?
I was trying to look at a couple of Azerbaijani babes. Yeah, I see that. And,
yeah,
I see that.
Yeah. Moving like Kwame from, you know what I mean?
Yeah, moving like
Kwame. Here you
go.
Yeah, so yeah, even an auspicious pit stop, but even then Perez came out ahead, and then like Max was just on him, man. Once Max has got, this is the problem. Max overtook him. Yes, it was team orders and stuff like that. There was, he said there was like no fighting or anything like that. But the amount of time that got dropped when he got behind him, he didn't even stay with him. He lost gone. Like 3. He lost 3 seconds.
Yeah,
in half
he lost.
I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point to pull up because he lost that time I think literally on the turn 1 that Max overtook him. Obviously they had that turn and then they go into the other DRS straight, and I think genuinely by the end of that straight, it was like they started that straight maybe like he was 0.2 seconds behind Max, and then they got to the end of that straight. I think it was almost like a second behind him. Like he just genuinely did not even attempt to get in after that, which is like, to be honest, it's a bit of a shame because I will admit it, like first, before anyone, that I am one of them man that is caught up on the hype of a potential Perez title challenge. Not necessarily a win, but a title challenge. But I'm also resigned to the fact that it's almost definitely going to be nipped in the bud by the team, by Red Bull. Because they don't want it. They would definitely rather see Max get his ring before Perez, and I think Perez also understands that, and he understands that he is more or less the second driver. But I think we could take solace in the fact that Perez's performances are really good as of now, and he definitely got what he deserved out of this race. I mean, he started P2 and he ended P2. So I think nobody can really ask for more. And I respect his race, to be honest. I respect his race.
Do you think, Tariq, if there was no team orders and they were asked to fight, do you think Perez will come out on top?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm really not sure. I don't think so. Because you know what? That's a bit of a difficult one still, because I think with even, you know, after the pits and after the pit stops and Perez with his tires, I feel like he could have definitely. I feel like he could have at least posed the challenge to him with the 2 straights and the DRS straights and all of that, and the fact that he has been quick around this track, as shown by quali, not necessarily in the race, but he has shown that he is quick around the track. So I can't really say for sure. And this is like a pretty like safe answer. Like, I'm not really trying to be very controversial or anything, but I feel like it could have been more of a challenge than it was. I feel like after Max got past him, Perez was just like, yeah, that's it. It was just like a regular Sunday drive for him. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think, do you know what? I think he would have held him up. He would have defended well. Max will get frustrated, so on and so on. But I think if it ever got to the situation where he kind of got past him, if Max got past him, I don't think Perez regains the position. That's one thing I don't think happens.
The way I see it is that I feel like Max would have taken him easily, because, you know, his pace and the 2 straights and the 2 main straights with the DRS, it would have been pretty simple for him. My argument really is that I feel like Perez would have come back on him harder than he did this race. I don't think Perez came back on him at all this race, actually. So I feel like Perez would have actually come back on him. And considering his level of time management, things like that, I feel like he could have posed a threat in the end.
Oh yeah, when we think back to like Imola, when he had that little battle with Leclerc, but even when he lost his position, he got it back straight away. So he is quite good at that.
And that's
we saw that in Abu Dhabi last year, didn't it, as well, with Lewis Hamilton. He could lose the position and then he gets it back and then he'll lose it again, but he'll put up a fight, right?
Yeah, and that's why I brought up the point of after Max got taken over and they got into that second DRS straight, Perez just didn't try, and I feel like if he didn't try as hard, I think I would say, and I feel like if Perez tried harder on that straight, there's a possibility that he could have got past him, but I feel like team orders kicked in at that point, and Perez himself was also aware that there wasn't really much point to fighting it.
Yeah, I think once the Ferraris are out, they just said, hold your positions, just run, stick to the delta. They even told him stop using DRS. And you can kind of see it from the times. Sergio Perez finished 20 seconds behind Max Verstappen, but then Sergio Perez was 25 seconds ahead of George Russell. So they were comfy, very comfy. And the race was kind of over from there. But yeah, another Red Bull 1-2. And like I've just said, both Ferraris are out. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, Ferrari. Carlos Sainz, DNF. Charles Leclerc, DNF. Kwame, is this Ferrari heritage?
Of course it is, man. Of course it is. We know, what can go wrong, will go wrong with this team. The Ferrari, the Scuderia, they will bottle it as always, and this happened today. That engine could prove. We've seen the upgrades, they had in Spain, I believe. Yeah, when they had the upgrades, we were thinking, because it wasn't as good as compared to the Red Bulls were, and yeah, today they've had what? You had Leclerc go, you had Sainz go, and you also had Zhao and Kema go as well. That's 4 out of 6 cars as well, just going complete. Even Bottas had issues as well during qualifying, I believe, as well with his engine. So it's not been a good race for them. And also like back it being with a heavily 2 long straights, it's a track that's very engine dependent. So yes, not a good look for the man at all.
Yeah. So Carlos Sainz DNF. Let's just go through it right now. Carlos Sainz DNF Ferrari engine. Charles Leclerc DNF Ferrari engine. Joe, DNF Ferrari engine. Kevin Magnussen, DNF Ferrari engine. So we were speaking about this in the group chat earlier this week. We looked at the pools of engine and we were like, yo, Ferrari's running through these, these Ferrari teams. And it weren't actually Ferrari, the actual team, but the other teams were. And that was kind of like an indicator that there's something wrong with this car. I'm going to ask you a question, Richard. So it turned out on, I think it was Tuesday, that Ferrari decided they're going to use the power unit 2, which was the power unit they had in Barcelona for Charles Leclerc, and they weren't going to use the third engine because they didn't want to get to the limit and then go at a penalty later on down the line. So what they've done is they fixed what was wrong with it in Barcelona. And once again, by lap 22, that engine went bang. Does Ferrari need to hire a project manager? Do they need to have some risk assessments? Because I'm not understanding the logic around these decisions, Richard. Let me know.
Need to hire more than a project manager, to be fair. Need to hire a new fucking crew of people, to be fair. To be honest with you, yeah, because how old was PU2 then? Was it, I'm guessing it's like 2-3 races old or something?
I think they first used it in Miami. And they upgraded it in Spain.
Right, okay. So a couple of races old, they used it in Spain. It broke in Spain or whatever. They fixed it and started to use it again in Baku, and now the engines went boom. Hopefully, for Ferrari's sake, that can be a bit of a wake-up call that, maybe you should just run through the engines like anyhow and just film the penalties, because obviously trying to do this, I'm going to grab the old engine and then I'm going to put duct tape on it and then, just hope for the best, let Shaw put out a world-class quali lap and then run through it in a race, it'll be calm. You've seen now, it's not only your engines blown up, it's your customer engines blown up. So that's more problems and more spotlights on you now, to be fair. So, to be honest, if they need to run through like 5-10 engines in the season and then just film penalties, just hold that, man. Just hold it is what it is. It's better if you finish a race in the points rather than you DNF whatsoever. Because now look at you people, you got the whole F1 laughing at well, apart from Manic, he's crying in the club right now. But you got the whole F1 laughing at you right now because look what you're doing. You're scaring the hose. You're stopping Shaw from winning the championship, and now even your customer team's flooded. So that's a trifecta for all the wrong reasons.
This ain't nothing new to them, Richard. They've been scaring the hose. I know. He's not the boogeyman to hose right now.
Yeah, we know. Like, your Miami don't want nothing to do with them. I know. Just scaring all the badinas, all of them.
It's crazy.
I know this Ferrari heritage in it, but it's like when it's 15 years since he last won a drivers' championship and 14 since he last won a constructors. When at this point are they gonna just grow up and get a grip? I'm hearing Bonotto last season was flying out to Maranello, was flying chicks out to Maranello, whatever. So he's working on the engine. He's skipping races. This engine's going to be a mad thing. You say to Shaw, we're going to have fun this year. We're going to have fun. Is this your definition of fun?
Who's having fun? Nobody's having fun.
He's fucking up all that Ferrari money. He's fucking up all that Ferrari money. He's moving like Boris Johnson, just bear parties, whatever.
Bro, he's going to wake up with. He's going to wake up with half a horse's head in his bed, bruv. The Mafioso's going to be on him, blood.
Enzo's staying in his grave right now.
Mafioso's going to be on him for this behavior. Listen, this is Italy. This is Italy's last hope this year because they're in the World Cup. They got knocked out.
That's mad.
Whole country's watching Ferrari.
Hey, they have to run AC Milan on Champions League, man. That's all they can got. That's all they got. Ferrari are not bringing them anything.
Sticky one.
But it really baffles me because we said it as a joke. When I saw the highlight, when I saw that they were using Power Unit 2 for this race, one of the most engine-dependent tracks in the whole calendar, to the point where Red Bull put new engines in Perez's and Max's car. They didn't use old engines. They were fresh engines this weekend because they know that you need a fresh engine for this track. And even Perez, I think, is on his third engine now. You have to think smart and long-term. You cannot come out of here with a bagel. They got 0. You got 0 constructors points. To the point now where Mercedes is closer to them in the constructors than they are to Red Bull.
George is only 17 points behind.
I feel like I feel like one point we haven't brought up, which might be relevant, is whether the budget is playing into how some of these teams are operating.
Nah, I'm not. But I hear that. But the reason I'm not buying is because, like Mahad said, not even Mahad said, but you got teams like Alpine in it, and Alpine they are doing what Richard suggested that Ferrari should do. Them man are putting all their engines, yeah, they are turning up all their engines. And listen, if their engines blow up, screw it. We're gonna max out our engines, get new engines, and take the L, take the penalty fines and whatnot. And today in Baku, they were doing a thing on the straights. They were doing truly trains. And they got double points. More than Ferrari had no points. So
yeah, Alonso was doing his trademark terrorism, but we might get into that point later.
Yep. But points at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Like, I think they were trying to do the cautious long game. Remember, like with the whole, we're not going to upgrade the car. We're going to wait. They had the same Bahrain spec for like, even in Imola, they had the same Bahrain spec. They didn't really upgrade the car like that. And I think it's because people thought, because they've got something mad, they got a mad thing in the bag, or they're hiding something. They're just scared to upgrade the car because they know when they upgrade the car, the reliability goes out the window. And we saw this in 2017 with Sebastian Vettel. We saw it in 2018. They can't put an upgrade on the car without it failing. And it's happening again. I think this is one of the most short-lived. I think it might be one of the most short-lived title charges I've seen in a while.
It's not a title charge. It's not a title charge at this point.
Because usually, at least
it's a title battery.
Man, this was the Chelsea's one this season. This was some Chelsea's one this season. But we bought it in December, man.
Fugazi.
Mad.
Fugazi title charge.
So you're saying we're gonna get to what, like we're gonna get to like November with hearing the Tifosi going, no, we won't challenge it anyway, man. Them Red Bull lot are just too fast, man. We're gonna see Anik. We're gonna see Anik putting that in the group chat. We got the receipts, Anik. Don't worry.
Yeah, he's got his receipts ready, man. Little tart.
I said this a million times. I even said it last year. If you think Charles Leclerc is going to win a world championship, that means you think Ferrari is going to win a world championship. If you think that, you're crazy. You're delusional.
That's true.
It's 15 years. These guys are incompetent. They had prime Fernando Alonso. They couldn't even win a title with him. They had good drivers. They couldn't win titles with them. They had Sebastian Vettel, arguably in his prime as well. They couldn't win a title because they're incompetent. And the same is going to happen with Charles Leclerc. I don't blame their drivers today. What can Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc do today if their cars pack it in?
I mean, Sainz wasn't in the race anyway.
Yeah, Sainz's gap to third was ridiculous.
He was 5 seconds away from third at the time that his engine blew up. So he was thinking up the joint anyway. So it's like, engine or no, Sainz stinks. And yeah.
But still, boy, you can just tap pad the fourth place, man, and get the points home. That's all they need to do. But I felt like they were just too complacent. I felt like they thought, okay, our engines, even though this engine, quote unquote, is at 50% of capacity or whatever, because they've fixed it. This is faster than the Mercedes. It's faster than the Renault engine. So they thought to themselves, oh yeah, the Honda engines, the Red Bulls will be gone. Let's that pad, P3, P4 in the race, and that's it. But no, it doesn't work like that. And I feel like just them being complacent because, like I said, if they had any ounce of sense, they would have upgraded the engines this race, but they didn't.
Do you know what? Yeah, Ferrari kind of remind me of it. Sorry, man. Do you know what? Yeah, Ferrari kind of remind me of like Pep and like big games. That overthinking sort of like gene, to be honest. So like Bonotto's sitting there, he's playing Fernandinho, like false nine and that. I'm thinking, oh yeah, it'll work. Don't worry, it'll work. It'll be calm. And then you're shocked when it doesn't work. Like I just feel like Ferrari being too cocky on the low and just being too arrogant because they feel like, because they've got one of the best driver lineups, arguably, on the grid, they can try a thing. If Shaw gets pole, as long as we try and consolidate first and whatever, and he gets his elbows out, it'll be calm. We can use the Manakad engine, and now look, he's scaring the hose. So it's going to end up in disaster. Like I won't be surprised yet if Mercedes possibly overtake Ferrari in both championships because George is only 17 points behind Charles now. And Mercedes only, I think, I don't know, they're not too far behind Ferrari.
30 points
yeah,
behind.
30. I mean, that's gettable. So it's not like they're a million miles off, to be fair. I know it sounds outrageous now, but if you just look at Ferrari and the incompetence, they only have themselves to blame. Like, they've got no one else. Yeah. So, yeah.
Should we get on to Mercedes then?
I was gonna just say one thing before we moved on to Mercedes. That Ferrari pit crew, don't think we didn't see you, you know. When Charles Leclerc had to pit and you put 6.7 pit stop, 6.7 seconds on his head. These people are criminals, man. This is a criminal organization. That you're already losing in a losing position and then you put 6.7 on his head. They're insane, man. But yeah, it's a reliability issue that they need to look out for. Do you know what? Mercedes are in it because they haven't had any DNFs because they're reliable. They took your jewels. They finished third and fourth. They got the points that Ferrari should have got. And listen, I'm a McLaren fan. I've lived through the 2000s, bro. Listen, reliability, you need that. If you ain't got reliability, you can slap it on pole all you want. Look at the Williams. Williams Montoya is looking like Charles Leclerc right now. Williams Montoya 2002. Millions of poles. Michael Schumacher just said, yeah, hold that. Every race, he just said, hold that. You can take the pole. I'll take the win. And that's how you win championships. But yeah, we'll move on to Mercedes. Mercedes have had an interesting meeting. It's a bit up and down, pardon my pun. This porpoising issue that they got going on. There was real concerns. So firstly, let me go back to the beginning. It was arguably told that they can turn it on and off. They know how to switch it on and off now. They've solved the porpoising in Barcelona. They know what they're doing. They don't need to deal with that issue anymore. These were the claims made by Mercedes. This wasn't claims made by their fan base or just like random people. These were claims made by Mercedes. We've seen, who is it? Who said it in the debrief after Barcelona? Was it James Vowles?
Probably James. Yeah, probably James.
Yeah,
Vowles.
and he was like, we now have a title challenging car. This is the words coming out of his mouth.
I swear it's still. I swear something similar came out of his mouth as well. He said something along the lines of like, we think we fixed the issue or something like that with the porpoising. But with all of that, the thing is that they said that they fixed the porpoising, and we were still seeing porpoising in the weekend that they said that they fixed the porpoising. And then the week after, we saw it the same thing as well. And then we see it this year, and we see it this race. My man Lewis needs to call injury lawyers for you because he got injury at work, fam. It's insane, fam. Man's getting out of
Do you know what? It's crazy. No,
man's getting out.
You joke, but it's serious.
No, it's ridiculous though. My man needs to lawyer up still. Like he's getting out.
I tweeted this. They want Lewis to be walking like Charles Barkley out here, bro. They want him finished.
We're saying Lewis is singing "Broke Off Your Back" here while he's driving down the main street to back.
It's disgusting. Look what they're doing to our goat, man. Look what they're doing to him.
The massacre our boy.
They're massacring our boy.
Trying to give him scoliosis like he's young folk. Fam.
You know what? I was watching the onboards of Lewis, and the only thing that was playing in my mind is the Ignition remix. You know what? R. Kelly's on the song. He's like bounce, 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 bounce. It was just that over and over in my head. It was crazy. I could not believe what I was seeing. Bro,
do you know how fast Lewis is going on that straight as well?
Fam,
that's what makes it even worse.
I'm watching the onboard, yeah, and I have to say pause every like couple seconds because he's just got bouncing. It's just up and down. It's crazy.
Bro, I don't understand. Okay, so they've made a claim that they can switch it on and off. And now the narrative has changed. The narrative has changed as you need to change these regulations because it's harming our drivers. Richard, what do you think of Toto's claims and Mercedes claims that there needs to be changes to the regulation on the ride height now because they're unable to deal with the porpoising?
Well, it's a funny one because I'm kind of with Toto, I'm not with Toto. So I'm with Toto that there needs to be regulations in place, that there needs to be like a minimum ride height. But I'm not with him because apparently all you man said when the FAA came to him apparently last season, say, should there be a minimum ride? You man all said no. And now, obviously, because you man are you've created this midfield car, and now because you want to stay where you are and you don't want to be too far back from the Red Bulls Ferraris, you want Lewis to be singing "Broke Off Your Back" while he's going down the main street, and for him to have a slip disc. Like, what's all this about? Like, it's Bram. Dotto's been moving mad for like the last 12 months, and this is just a part of it, because obviously you're compromising Lewis's health over performance, because you think, oh yeah, we can get a P4 but Lewis have a broken back. That's calm. I'm now also seeing rumors that they might draft in a reserve driver for Canada in case Lewis can't do it. Like, that's really telling. Like, that is really telling that your main driver, who's been doing all these tests and all these sacrifices for you, might not even be able to race in Canada because you want to broke off man's back. Like, that's crazy to me. So, to be honest, it's the FIA aren't fully like exempt for this, because they probably should have just said, you know what, everyone can have active suspension. Then this whole porpoising issue wouldn't even be a thing, because I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing about it like every weekend, to be honest. But at the same time, at that time, if it really is true that the FIA said, oh, we should bring in a minimum ride height, then you all should have said yeah, because it's not like this is the first time ground effect has been in Formula One. It was in Formula 1 40 years ago, and it's also in different race series as well. So you can easily ask them, man, oh, how do you lot handle porpoising, or how was ground effect in your series? And they'll tell you. But no, because you might want to be arrogant and you think, oh yeah, let's have the ride height nice and low. Oh yeah, there'll be a bit of porpoising, but I'm not in the car, so it's like, I'm not in the whip. That's you man's problem. Like, it's not my back getting broke. So, but we'll get like a cheeky 4th or the 5th. You know, this compromise is a bit mad. So Mercedes, obviously, there is a way to get around this, because Red Bull seem to have got around it. But then again, they've got a designer who's clear, and Adrian Newey. You know, you put an Adrian Newey next to James Allison, you know, the difference is night and day. So Mercedes needs to get it together and just think to himself, okay, do you really care about the health of your drivers enough to try and scrape a podium? Or are you going to try and get around this porpoising issue? And then once the car stop poison, then you can work on the performance from there. Because this whole thing of, oh, we're going to have a nice fast car, but, you know, it will come at the cost of the driver's health, is pathetic. So you run into the FAA, it's just air to me. So yeah, Toto, go fuck yourself in it, like, straight up.
Do you know what baffles me, and I can't like wrap my head around it, is that people are blaming, and we're clear on this podcast in terms of, we've been calling out the FIA for time. We hate the FIA 100%. We've been calling out for time. They're a fraudulent organization. But one thing I can't comprehend is that the blame is being put on the FIA rather than your team making a shit car. How can you not blame your designer for making a shit car? I can understand if every single car was porpoising like mad and no, there wasn't a working solution to it. Firstly, there is a working solution to it. Just raise the ride height. You are deciding. It's like you're acting like the FIA's got a gun to your head to saying, yo, you have to porpoise. No, you could just literally raise the ride height and then make it a more comfortable ride for Russell and Hamilton. But you're deciding to choose performance over the comfort and safety of your drivers. That's the bottom line to anything. You can go around the house and saying these regulations are crap, this don't work. The end of the day is that they've made it that choice, and they're putting their drivers at risk. Yet nobody's giving them flack for it, and I don't understand that from my point. Like, from just on the outside looking in, it doesn't make sense. Like, obviously, Red Bulls solved their problem. Why? What do you think, Tariq? What's the issue? Why have they made that decision? I
was just saying, like, I understand it because they want to win, basically. Like, the bottom line is they want to get as many points, and they want to maximize whatever they can get out of a race weekend, whether it's the most points, more information on the car, faster car, etc., etc. So they're making a decision as a team. We need to run this car at this ride height because we need to get as much performance as we can without causing the driver too much harm or causing the car too much harm, etc., etc. But the case at the point, the point in case now is that we're at the point where the ride heights that they're running on are too harmful for the driver. especially in Hamilton's case, because he genuinely he could barely get out of the car. Like I'm surprised nobody came up to the car with a wheelchair or walking stick with him, because it was ridiculous what he was going through with his back and that. Like he was genuinely complaining about his back in the middle of the race. You know, oh, my back is killing me, which is, you know, we talk about, you know, accidents in racing and stuff like that, which is one certain thing. Obviously, you know, a car can crash or whatever, and the driver can get hurt in that way, which we don't want. But for a driver to sustain that kind of stress on their body, that kind of harm on their body over a race, as long as that, in accordance to, you know, in addition to all of the forces that they're going to be going through while racing, that is a very bad recipe. Like that is something that is definitely going to cause a problem sooner rather than later, and something that definitely needs to be addressed. But obviously, I know, you know, here in Pitstop, like a lot of us, you know, like to rag on Mercedes, especially a certain other Pitstop member, which we know if he was here, he'd definitely be ragging on Mercedes like crazy. But me, I think Mercedes, the first mistake and the biggest mistake that Mercedes made was that they did not develop a good enough car. And at this point, all of the stuff that they're trying to do in regards to the ride height, etc., is then trying to get something out of their bad car. And it just poses a very difficult situation, which I don't think anybody can really have like a concise black and white point for in regards to that, because I'm sure if you ask the drivers as well, whether they would deal with where, you know, if you ask Russell and Hamilton about it, they would very happily deal with some level of porpoising in order to get the team to a high level, to finish at a high level. So yeah, my point is that I think it's just a bit sticky, and we can't really blame that much, put that much blame on Mercedes, other than the fact that they just developed a bad car.
Yeah, I think one thing that always gets lost in the trees, especially with new reg changes, is not only is this like a racing competition where people are driving, it's an engineering competition as well. Who can get the regulations and then engineer and design the best car. Clearly, some teams have designed a better car than other teams. There's a team that called Ferrari who has porpoising, but they are much faster than Mercedes as well. So clearly, if there's something fundamentally wrong with the design, and there has to be some sort of like acceptance that you may need to change that. You could see that with Aston Martin. Aston Martin said, okay, that car was trash. We're going to bin that. We're going to bring something else in. Like, there needs to be some sort of blame put towards your own team and saying, okay, we've done something wrong here. What if this engineering, if this competition was an engineering competition, you failed. You're not getting, you're not there. And that there needs to be some sort of accountability there by Mercedes to say, okay, we may have got something wrong here, rather than keep on going down this rabbit hole saying, oh, if we could stop the porpoising, Bro, porpoising's been around since the 80s. That's a problem that's been solved. This isn't like trying to solve cancer and trying to cure something that there's no cure for it. There's already a cure for it. And you're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And there's a team that's on the paddock that doesn't have porpoising. My team, McLaren, we haven't solved our porpoising. So guess what? We raised the ride height. We've got no downforce. We're slow as hell. We're the slowest team on the straight. And the reason why is because we didn't lower the ride height. We've thought about our driver's safety. Even though we bounced a little bit, we thought about our driver's safety over performance, because we could lower it to the ground.
Yeah, I guess.
And then Norris and Ricciardo would be in the same situation that Hamilton and Russell would be.
Yeah.
Well, Danny Dick had back problems today anyway, so.
Yeah, we were bouncing, but I'm saying to the levels they were bouncing. Even Ricciardo said, Hamilton, that looks uncomfortable. Yeah. And we're already bouncing a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're having one of the unique points about this season in regards to the level of cars that are being developed and what's good and what's not, is that in the other seasons, if your car was not good, it was just that. your car wasn't good. You know, you'd be slow. You wouldn't get into the points, etc., etc. But the issue that we're having this season is that if your car isn't good enough, it can directly cause harm and discomfort to your driver, which makes it a lot more, let's say, a touchy, sensitive issue in regards to how you deal with that. Because not only have you got to think about the fact that you're just not doing as good as you want to do, you also have to think about the fact that your drivers are going to be under harm and have an issue, and they might not even last races, and they might need to be replaced with reserve drivers, and that just because your car isn't good enough and you haven't taken the precautions in order to make the drive better for the driver.
But isn't it more of like a face-off now between raise the ride height, drive slow, and have no points in performance, or drive low and put your driver at risk? And it's a difficult choice for Mercedes, right? To choose between those two things. Like, okay, if we raise the ride height, we're nowhere third in constructors. We're gonna be out in Q2, Q1. You know what I mean? Or make our drivers suffer. And it's a moral decision, obviously, but I don't think external blame should be placed.
I'm about to say it says a lot about Mercedes when they have put their car as low as possible, and obviously they're still porpoising, and they're still struggling, to get off Q1 in some races. The fact that they've done all this as well, and their car is still not even that fast. It says a lot about the car, because if they, like you said, if they compromise like McLaren have, and raise the car up, it's looking very, very spooky. But I think also nothing else said this, but the fans as well. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We get into the FIA the whole time. We really should, and also follow the FIA. Yes, ideally in a perfect or nice world, they should have something in place. Where protect the drivers from getting injured from porpoising. Just like you said, time to talk about back issues. There been some discussion apparently that could cause mind concussion or CT or whatever. Which I hear that, and I think but if they went to the teams and the team said no, it's calm. If they went to the drivers, I know every driver says it's an issue, but then you're going to come with a conclusive, answer. Cool. Then you've got to, adjust the rules. I'm afraid, we try talking about it, try fixing it, and and like Mahad says as well, like you guys said as well, like this issue's been in time, in 80s, even see videos in 90s of Senna, struggling, with the porpoising back then, so we even seen like in IndyCar, so it's been an issue. So yeah, Mercedes need to find a way to fix around it, because but I don't think they have an issue. I don't think they even know how to fix around it. I feel like they've got no backup plan, no plan B, which is why they're doing all this, attacking the FIA and whatnot.
I remember Ross Brawn, Barcelona testing, when the porpoising first was highlighted and stuff like that. And I remember him saying he's proper surprised that teams haven't anticipated porpoising issues. And he was like, this is just basic physics. When you have a ground effect car, it's good. There's the issue of porpoising, and I don't know why they're not anticipating it. So is he just basically saying these engineers and designers, they're meaty? That he didn't.
So that's what's born is. That smart kid, that smart kid in school getting all the A stars, all that. That's what's born. And he's seen these man, you man are barely getting C's, you man can't barely pass. That's how I see what's born comparing to these man, because the levels between what's born and them guys, like you said, it's different. So
he's basically gonna be like, it's too damn bad.
Yeah.
It's like, get better engineers. Go hire some guys that were in the 80s or something. Because he's obviously created these regulations, him and Pat Simmons and stuff like that. And he was perplexed. He was like, why are some of these teams porpoising? What's wrong with you guys? And he was kind of taking shots at these young engineers. He was like, these guys are not built.
He's the one, he's the teacher. He's going around the class handing out the exams back, and he's just handing them all down, face down.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He basically, he's the teacher. He set the exam. He set the regulations. Bare man failing.
Just failing. Just handing them those exam papers face down. Can't show anyone else what the results are. He's sitting in front of the class like, I've never been this disappointed. I've never seen results this bad in my 23 years of teaching. All of that.
That's what he's on, and I reckon that's what the conversation. Do you know what was that thing? That comment There was a comment that Ross Brawn made. I think it was a couple races ago, Imola or something like that. And Russell was complaining about the porpoising, yeah. And he said, Ross Brawn said something like, "We're not interested in the thoughts of midfield teams, the drivers in midfield teams."
What?
He said something like that. Let me get the exact quote. He said something brazy. He said something brazy to Russell about Russell.
I think you fell for a fake quote, man.
No, this is a real quote, man. Look, he said George Russell's opinion doesn't matter.
I'm actually searching this up right now. I can't lie to you.
You search it up right now.
Boy, is what it is.
This is a real quote, man. Look, Ross Brawn has clarified the comments after George Russell was not listening to his opinion. Russell complained about the. He's complaining. He wasn't complaining about Hobson. He was complaining about the sprint races and thought it was not good. And then Ross Brawn was like, "I think George's opinion or the opinion of anyone in the back of the grid are not opinions we're really listening to." That's word for word of what I'm saying to these men. So yeah,
that's a bit mad.
It's crazy. But talking about George Russell. George Russell P3 today. Richard, what do you think of his performance today? He keeps getting these podiums out of nowhere in a shitbox. You're on mute, bro.
Oh, fucking no. Yeah, sorry. It was kind of more fortunate than anything because I don't think he actually overtook anyone to get that P3, to be honest. So he was kind of just capitalizing off the Ferrari DNFs, and he was still like, as you said, 20 odd seconds behind him, checking away. But I mean, he did all right. It's not like he did badly. He did his job, I guess. You know, he didn't really drop back any places. He may have gotten dunked on like Bottas was, and he managed to grab a podium, capitalize off the Ferraris having him here. But it definitely wasn't a better performance than what Lewis put in, to be honest. So, but yeah, he left with something, and that's all you can ask for sometimes. Yeah, the game is the game. That's how it be sometimes.
Yeah. We talked about how bad Mercedes car is and stuff like that. They still left with P3, P4, and you just touched on it now. Lewis Hamilton P4, and he was our driver of the weekend, as voted by our listeners and followers on Twitter. Tariq, talk us through Lewis Hamilton's performance today. You went through the wars.
Yeah, he was. It was another one of those Hamilton races where he gets shagged somewhat by his team, by the pit stop. Really, he did solid at the start. He almost got Gasly, to be honest, if watching back the start. So he did pretty well at the start. He got into a good rhythm. Obviously, you know, like I just mentioned, the pit had him all the way in the middle of the pack, which was a shame. But Hamilton does what he does. He drove. He had a great drive. Really made it through that pack, and he got himself into a really nice position. He got he got both of the AlphaTauris actually, Yuki and Gasly, which was fine by me. I tweeted out saying, you know, it's fine by me. I'm eating on both fronts because those are two of my biggest drivers, and they both finished on great points. So I respect it. And yeah, his race was just really good. I was saying that I think that it's a race that we've seen from Hamilton a lot, in regards to the fact that his quality just always shines. He always finds a way to pull something out of the bag, even in some of the worst races. Even though this wasn't one of the worst races at all, this race was pretty okay in regards to his luck and whatnot. I think definitely it's good that he finished in the place that he did, because I think the struggle that he had to go through with his body and whatnot and the race was quite worrying, to be honest. And I think he'll take some consolation at least from the fact that he got a P4 in that race.
Yeah, definitely. I think he went through the grinds and the pain and strategy going against him, and I think he still managed to get where he needed to get to. Did some great overtakes as well. All round outstanding performance. He actually got driver of the day by the fan vote as well, which is a rare thing. So that just kind of shows the levels performing today.
He's on his way to getting that Vettel level of rebrand. You know, when Vettel went from 4-time champion, everybody hated him. Suddenly he started stinking up the joint, and suddenly people start loving him. He's a bit of Hamilton's a bit of a way on that now. People are suddenly finding ways to love him now because he is in the top of the grid, which may be a separate discussion for another pod. But I thought it was good to point out.
No, I don't like that. To be fair, I'd rather him be hated.
Absolutely don't like that.
I'm seeing people put old Lewis Hamilton races like he's Vettel. I'm like, don't do this. Like it's Fernando Alonso. Don't do this. Don't be putting up like old footage now just because he's not winning races right now. Don't do that.
Yeah. Now, I've always said that. Like all this Lewis Hamilton hate has the worst thing about all this Lewis Hamilton hate is because when he retires, and years after he retires, all these people that hate him are, tweeting all these things about him and find threads and whatever to hate him and put down him. They're going to be the first people to praise him to the skies when he retires, saying, "Oh, he was one of the best drivers I've ever seen. This, and that." And so many people are just drawn by narrative. They hate when they're told to hate, and they love when they're told to love. But we can see like Lewis Hamilton's legacy is unmatched. He is one of the best drivers to ever drive in Formula One, if not the best. And nothing is going to change that. No amount of media coverage is going to change that. No amount of bad cars are going to change that. No amount of, Russell performances are going to change that. He is one of the best drivers we've ever seen. And sooner rather than later, people are going to appreciate that.
Like you said, bro. Like you said, with F1, when you're winning, they really hate it. They really, really hate it, man. Like we've seen it with Hamilton, we've seen it with Vettel, Alonso, we've seen it with Michael Schumacher, Mick Schumacher. We've seen it, and now Lewis is getting that the respect that he deserves. Now there's no winning, which is annoying because it's a disservice because it's like you might not now celebrating the guy on his downfall, but like Tariq said, that guy had a very good race. He passed a lot. There's a lot of times where he stuck behind trains. He was stuck behind the AlphaTauri train, stuck behind the Alpine trains, and he still got through. And like I said, you got shagged by strategy by Mercedes, doing dirty. I mean, towards the end, he did get benefits of the AlphaTauri misfortune, but he done what he needed to do, kept under control, got the overtakes, and had a very good race. So I'm kind of glad that people are seeing now, what Lewis is for. Like Lewis had a better race than Russell, I'm probably putting, because he had to overcome much more and still in positions. So
yeah, Russell didn't overcome nothing. He didn't overtake anybody. He was just chilling. He just watched the cars go boom in front of him. Latifi Award. Who had a stinker in the race? In our poll, Williams won. And I think Williams won because how did they get Latifi a 10-second stop-go penalty before the race started?
That guy, bro, literally. So obviously, you got a 50-second rule after the formation lap, innit? And that guy literally was just touching the car. He just stood there. So they missed. So it's like a violation rule, innit? Because you're not meant to do anything towards the car during the formation lap.
Yeah, he pushed the car back because he wasn't on the line, basically.
Yeah.
And you're not meant to touch it when all the mechanics are meant to clear. So that's how Latifi got bagged.
What is this? F2? What's this bozo thing, man? What's bozo behavior, man? And
They're not in the same conversation.
F2 was full of bozos today. But we'll save that for another pod. Because that was just, these guys are media, I'm not going to lie to you. These are the guy you want in F1. These guys are all media, bro. Yuri Vips, Lord have mercy. Another nominee that was quite close to actually winning was AlphaTauri. I know, Tariq, you got some words for AlphaTauri, man. Gasly overcame it all today. What performance!
I mean, Gasly, I'm proud of him. I'm always proud of my boy, but I'm especially proud of my boy this weekend. He had a similar race to Russell in the way that it was just consistent this race, and he showed that consistency that we've seen from him before. I was just like reminiscing, seeing him qualify well first of all, and then just do the race as you're supposed to do, and finishing those really good points and capitalize off other team's failures, which is all that we can really ask from him. Yeah, and I'm happy for my boy. I know, you know, a couple Yuki coin holders in this pod. Shout out you, man. You know who you are. Yuki did pretty solid as well. I feel like the people who know me know I'm a known Yuki hater. I think the guy is a fraud, but you know he did well, even though you know they were duct taping his DRS like it was Art Attack. But yeah, and I think the discussion here to be had is, you know, of course, AlphaTauri, proper Bozo team. Kwame, I don't know why you have stocks in that team at all. It makes zero sense to me. That is the biggest Bozo team on the. It's. I think there was a question we had where it was like, if teams were getting championships of Bozo moments, which teams will be having the most championships? And I'm telling you, AlphaTauri are up there, man.
Yes,
that's a question. That's a question by SWVG Lord. We're about to go to list this question. I'll actually ask you that. Who would have more Bozo Constructors Championships? Would it be AlphaTauri or Ferrari?
You know what? That's actually a difficult question still. I'm more close with AlphaTauri, obviously, because my star boy is locked into that team. Death row contract, he can't leave. But yeah, man, AlphaTauri are just, this team is crazy, man. It's crazy, and I think it just goes under the radar because they're obviously they don't really challenge for anything. So they aren't really in the spotlight enough. And obviously Ferrari are definitely in the spotlight because they challenge in quote marks and are supposed to challenge. But they're just proper bozos as well. But man, I feel like I lean a bit towards Ferrari just because their bozo, especially now, they've had a lot of bozo moments and their bozo moments have been critical, like serious bozo moments. Their bozo gene is going into overdrive. So I kind of lean towards Ferrari, but make no mistake, AlphaTauri's bozo gene is on a serious level. Let's not make that mistake.
Hey, do you remember when AlphaTauri in the Russia Grand Prix, when it started raining, and then man said, "Yo, Yuki, come in and put slicks on, put super softs, put softs on."
Them man, they love doing a bad touch. Actually, they love doing a bad touch.
They almost, brother, they did it in Monaco, and it almost the same thing happened in Monaco. If it wasn't for Gasly pulling out his talent and keeping that car in one piece on the slicks, Monaco would have been the same thing. They just, it's crazy. And I'll tell you another situation as well. It was one of the Imola races. I don't know whether it was 2020, 2021, something like that. Gasly had his usual proper good Q3 performance. He qualified well, and they ruined his entire race by putting him on every single wrong tire you could put him on. They put Gasly on those wrong tires, and it completely fucked up his race. And it had me fuming for the entire week. I could not believe they ruined his race like that. Ever since then, I could never forgive him. So
listen, they ruined Yuki's race today. They ruined Yuki's race today. He was gonna get points.
Exactly. Art Attack FC, man. It's crazy.
You know what? Prayers for Yuki and Gasly, man. They're suffering in that team, man. None of them guys that work over there are making it to the Red Bull. They're not getting that.
I'm telling you now, that team's still got the minority DNA. They have still got the minority DNA strong, fam. Because
so why do you have stocks then, man?
I've got stocks in the drivers. I've got stocks in the two.
No, you got stocks in the team.
I
back the team. Kwame.
Kwame. Yeah, listen. So I've got stocks in the two drivers. That's fine.
Man's lying on his portfolio, man.
I'm not lying. I've got stocks in AlphaTauri. I've been saying AlphaTauri. I've got stocks in my team, AlphaTauri.
You have to diamond test Kwame. Fake watch.
Fake watch. Fake team principle, bro. The light is not glowing.
Hey, fun stuff.
Kwame tossed.
As soon as them two drivers go, and if it's not Vips or Lawson, I'm done with this team because I'm tired of this. We'll talk about F2 another time, man. We'll talk about F2 in the Philippod because that series as well, that man for bozos as well. Honestly, Vips,
All
yeah. I'm not
Massey, we all agree it's Ferrari engines, right?
Yeah,
They had an absolute
yeah,
howler.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolute howler. Before we go, listeners' questions. Let's get some up. We've already answered SWGV Lords 1 on the Bozo constructors. We've got the Fifth Wheel podcast. They asked, does Merck's car have the potential? Is it worth all this trouble that they're going for?
I think the clear answer is no. I thought they should pack up next season.
Yeah, pack it up, go home, raise the ride height so your drivers don't end up with scoliosis at the end of the season. Just be done with it, man. It's over.
Yeah.
Just let it go. It's over. Like that one pick with the guy with the Gucci bag. It's over. Just let it go.
It's over, man. You're holding on. Man said 0 side pods is the Gucci bag. It's over, man. I don't care about those 0 side pods, bro. Just make up a new car, raise the head right, start working towards next year, man. Because you're not going to win the constructors. But if they feel like the Ferrari's weak and then they can get seconds in constructors, that's big boy money. So they've got some choices to make. But yeah, we don't think it's worth it. But yeah. Next question we have from Corey Samuel. At Corey Samuel, shout out to you. Do you believe Red Bull are starting to sweat about Perez's performance and whether this will cause a conundrum with Max? Those pit stops look spooky. We really kind of answered that in the pod, right? I don't think Max has got anything to worry about.
No,
I don't
think he's got.
Max won that team. Max won that team. Honestly, that team is all around Max. It has been and will be. That guy's on contract to what? 2026, whatever, 2027. He's on definite contract. Perez is kind of just there as a second driver just to keep the points coming to me consistent. That's it.
Unless like Perez actually packs him. If Perez starts to pack him, Red Bull snaky. They'll move on. If Perez is like if Perez is like qualifying 7 tenths ahead of him and like 3 positions ahead of him, where it's not really possible to kind of maneuver a race win for Max, they'll just focus it in on Perez. But I don't think that's even a reality anyway.
Yeah, no, I
that's
don't
not
think that's a
true,
reality. First of all, and second of all, if Perez somehow managed to pull it off and consistently outperform Max, Red Bull are professional Max dick riders. They will step in long before any of us are even thinking about them stepping in. Like conversations, bringing in.
Yeah, but they didn't do that. They didn't do it with Vettel or Ricardo, though.
But that team
was Red Bull Vettel riders.
Okay, but was Red Bull that serious? Like as a complete team, like
but you know what?
Vettel era.
But no, what they didn't know they were, but obviously the new works came in 2014, and obviously Ricardo was dumping on Vettel, so they were like, let's sell all our stocks from Vettel, let's put all our emphasis into Ricardo and get rid of the Vettel guy. And Vettel was kind of tired of Red Bull anyway, so he jumped ship to Ferrari. So.
And in the period before that, Webber wasn't really dunking on Vettel like that. He couldn't really do it. He didn't have it in him to do that. So that's why they kind of made that decision to. Listen, if you see some of the old footage, yeah, it's like looking at Max and Red Bull's relationship. It's the same with Vettel and Red Bull. They were riding out for Vettel. Unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, they're both Red Bull. They were both Red Bull test tube babies as well. So
listen, you got remember we were talking about this last week between Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. You got to back your boy, man. Even if it's shameless, you got to back your driver, bro. We'll do one more question before we go. Let's pick a good one here. Shout outs to at _the outliers. Who's gonna stop Red Bull next season? Because it's a wrap for this one. This guy already gave up on this one. Man said next season,
It looks like no one at this point. If Mercedes can't fix up and Ferrari are still on serious, then looks like Red Bull might do a dominance thing again, man,
I can't deal with a Max repeat, man. I cannot deal with a Max repeat. That is
I did tell you guys I told you guys he's gonna win 5 titles. And it's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Rather than we'll still be hearing generation shouts for the Lee Clark as well. So it's be a bit mad.
Shout out to intern
Yeah.
Lee Clark.
Yo,
Bro,
listen,
Yeah,
his YouTube comps are gonna look crazy. He's gonna have the maddest YouTube comps. You see him live in the race, he looks average as hell. It's
Bro.
crazy.
boy,
Just
he's
one
got
pace,
more
innit?
polls than the strip club at this point. Shit.
bro,
It's true.
hella
He's a
polls.
pole merchant. Hella polls. Like he's at fucking, I can't even name any of these strip clubs. Kwame knows, but yeah.
The worst thing is, man, I'm
but-
not gonna lie, yeah. I agree with the generational bit because when it comes to quali polls, he's on some generational shit. When it comes to these,
Oh yeah, quality wise,
Good-
he's
good at
hard.
madness.
Yeah, he's
But the-
hard, but in the race,
The conversion is
You
not
know what I mean?
converting, man.
yeah.
Fernando Torres at Chelsea, yeah, hella missed chances, 6-yard box.
Boy.
Nah, it's fucking
Yeah.
pounds sterling to Zimbabwean dollars. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Boy.
that tweet popped off, man. I should have signed that off, man. Fuck that.
If you did see that tweet, it was Tariq, guys.
Yeah.
He's the one that puts
Yeah,
the
that's
fire
who's
to
got
his
Follow me at Twizzy Rick with a Q. Follow me, you know, more bad man tweets like that. You get me? But what you saying, Rich? You said more polls than what? More polls than a strip club.
the strip club, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Monegasque
True, though.
Magic City right there.
Lord. Hey, throw them dollar bills.
Malagas Magic City, you know. That's the new
Throw
slander
the-
name, you know.
Throw the dollar bills, man. Listen, remember when Anik was telling us the slander names are gonna end? Boy, oh boy.
Then,
The
boy,
run
they're
up
not
now, boy.
they're
Shit.
never gonna end. I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. That brings us to the end of the pod. Thank you for listening. Follow us at Pitstop Fracas on Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching this video on YouTube. If you are listening on Spotify and Apple Music, please leave us a review. We really need reviews. Please help us out, guys. We need that. And follow us on Instagram as well. And follow all of us. Like you can see the @names names on Twitter for us. If you want to see fire tweets, follow Tariq, obviously.
Of course. Hey, by the way,
and-
just a quick thing, yeah. If anyone can get in touch with Gasly, yeah, tell him to like this, obviously, because he's liking bare things now. So just like this,
Gasly, come on,
like
man.
this pod.
Gasly,
he's liking
aka
all of this, yeah.
he's a click farm, bro. He's a click farm.
Yeah, exactly. He's moving like there's some of them Asian streaming farms out here, man. Look, where.
They move like farms of them, man. There.
Oh, that's crazy. But look, man.
No, when it got a wall of
You
phones, bro. Just bare
You got
phones.
exactly, man. Like you got the CEO of Gasly Hive right here. I have been voted in by the millions of Gasly Hive members out there. I am the official CEO of Gasly Hive. I need my I need my follows. All right. So, all of you, man, if you're listening to this pod, at Gasly, let him know. Like this pod. Let him know. You know, I'm out here. I exist. I'm I'm spreading the gospel, man. So, you know, that's just me.
Gasly's seen us, man. We recently got published and said that we're in the top 20 podcasts, Formula One podcasts. So shout outs to them, man, for shouting us out and putting us on the list, top 20
Shout out them, man. There.
in the F1 wizard. So if you're listening to this, Gasly, hi Tariq.
Pull up here.
Ahead of the race as well, you know. Shout out the race, but we're ahead of them. So yeah, big, you know.
Not
Listen,
Kwame from slander. Calm down, Kwame.
Kwame, you're slandering other ones. God damn.
I respect it. Hey, listen.
You come with him now.
We're coming for WTF1 next.
We can't be your favorite pod heads up, man. At the end of the day.
Bang.
Mac Gallagher, lay low, brother.
Alright, we'll be back next week
all love, man.
with
It's
a
all
new
love.
pod. Take care. Peace.
Safe.
Peace.